Welcome to the Shikama Live Show. If this is your first time watching me, be sure to subscribe. It's free, of course, and look over my other videos. They're quite interesting. A federal judge in Orange County ruled Wednesday that California's death penalty violates the U.S. Constitution's ban on cruel and unusual punishment. U.S. District Judge Cormac J. Carney ruled on a petition by death row inmate Ernest Dewayne Jones, who was sentenced to die nearly 2 decades ago. Before I get into this, I want you to listen. I want you to understand this judge did not rule death penalty is unconstitutional. He ruled that California's death penalty is unconstitutional. A lot of Americans don't listen with their ears. They listen with their hearts. Oh, that's terrible. They shouldn't do that. Oh, that judge should be removed. He's awful. Okay, so none of that crappy granola, leftist, rightist, wherever you sit on the fence with that. Understand that this is a judge, and probably one of the best judges and court cases that I've read in a long time. Carney said that the state's death penalty has created long delays and uncertainty for inmates, most of whom will never be executed. He noted that more than 900 people have been sentenced to death in California since 1978, but only 13 have been executed. For the rest, the dysfunctional administration of the California's death penalty system has resulted and will continue to result in an inordinate and unpredictable period of delay preceding their actual execution, Carney wrote. Carney's ruling can be appealed to the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is a super liberal, let's let all the illegals come in. Let's let all the, whatever. It's a horrible court of appeals. Carney, an appointee for former President George W. Bush, said the delays have created a system in which arbitrary factors, rather than legitimate ones, like the nature of the crime or the date of the death sentence, determines whether an individual will actually be executed, Carney said. In overturning Jones' death sentence, Carney noted that the inmate faced complete uncertainty as to when or even whether he will be executed. The random few who will be executed will have languished for so long on death row that their execution will serve no retributive or deterrent purposes and will be arbitrary, Carney said. No rational person, Carney wrote, can question that the execution of an individual carries with it the solemn obligation of the government to ensure that the punishment is not arbitrarily imposed and that it furthers the interest of society. And for you who are still not understanding up to this point, the entire purpose of sentencing somebody to death is to do 2 things. It's supposed to send a message to criminals who do that particular type of crime to not do it. If you do it, you'll be put to death. So that's the deterrent. Also, it is retribution or revenge for any victims, say the family members. So any revenge. The people in question, after 20 years, could be dead and gone themselves. What revenge are they going to be seeking? None. So he's saying neither one of these instances are actually being served. Natasha Minsker, a director of the ACLU of Northern California, said Wednesday's ruling marked the first time a federal judge had found the state's current system unconstitutional. She said it was also the first time any judge has ruled systematic delay creates an arbitrary system that serves no legitimate purpose and is therefore unconstitutional. A Los Angeles County Superior Court judge in 1995 sentenced Jones to death for the 1992 rape and killing of Julia Miller, his girlfriend's mother. Jones killed Miller 10 months after being paroled for a previous rape. A spokesman for Attorney General Kamala D. Harris said only that her office was reviewing the decision. Here's a possible scenario of what is really going on behind the scenes. This judge, Judge Carney, probably received information that said that Jones was actually innocent and they had evidence, but because the way the court system operates today and the judicial system operates and the police system operates, nobody could bring that information to court, prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was not the person that did it or he wasn't involved at all. You have to get somebody to agree to open the case or to hear the evidence. If they say no, then the person can be languish in jail or be sentenced to death. Now, notice that Ernest Dewayne Jones is black. What I thought when I saw the title, when I saw that this was trending, I thought that the judge was going to say that it's unconstitutional because 90% of the people sentenced to death are black. You can't have a system that says 10% of the population is 90% on death row. Impossibility. The numbers cannot even coalesce into such a thing without human interference. It's impossible. So it's saying that if you have a system that shows 10% of the population, humans are humans, whether they're black, blue, green, or whatever, right? Humans are humans. I don't care how much you've been told that black people commit crimes, black people are criminals. No matter how much Oprah says that black men are terrible lovers and black men are awful. No matter how much you hear that, no matter how much MSNBC says, oh, black men are shiftless and they want handouts. No matter how much you hear that, it's not true. Humans are humans. There are poor white people. There are more poor white people than there are poor Mexican people, black people, right? It's an impossibility that if you have poor people who commit crime, including rape and murder, that it would skew towards black people. It's an impossibility. Psychologically speaking, humans are humans, right? It's going to skew towards poor people, yes, but not skew towards black people. While death row might be sitting at 90% black, look at this. In the general population of prison, 75% of the black people sentenced to jail are there for marijuana possession. Not dealing, possession. That means the rest of the general population of prison who commit the dangerous crimes, who commit the hard crimes, are not black people. So that includes white people, white Latinos, white Eastern Europeans, but they don't come out and tell you that. So, but they want to say, oh, black people are criminals, black people are dangerous, black people commit murder. Black people actually don't commit murder. Not like white people. Black people have this communistic sense about them, which means I'm going to dominate you and you're going to be a part of my group. That is the default setting for black people, if you want to get into the psychology of how black people work. Even poor black people. Even poor black people. The default setting is towards communism because of the way of the indoctrination and miseducation of black people. Go look it up. 75% of black people in prison are there for simple marijuana possession. Now, let's go to death row. Why is death row 60 to 90% black? Automatically, anybody taking a look at that would say there is something horribly wrong here. There is an impossibility that 10% of the population are committing murder. Black people are not committing any more murder than anybody else. And it's an impossibility that white people, standing at 51% of the population, or 60% of the population who are committing murder, are not being sentenced to death. There has to be something horribly wrong with the system if 60% of the people on death row are black. Horribly wrong. I mean, so egregiously wrong that it's patently and blatantly obvious that there's something wrong. Now, so the two scenario is this judge, who seems like a fair and very intelligent guy, probably received information exonerating this inmate, this person, Mr. Jones, Mr. Ernest Dewayne Jones, couldn't quite skew that to say, let this guy go free, but what we can do is completely repeal his death sentence and do away with that. And if we do away with that, he's already been in jail for 20 years. Any other sentence is going to be commuted through the time served, and he goes free. Or he's actually making a political statement and saying that here is another black man on death row that shouldn't be there. Either put the white people on death row or take the black people off. There's no way to have 60 to 90% of black people, of death row inmates, be black. It's a statistical impossibility. I mean, it's like having 60% of the people there hit the lottery all the time. That's how impossible it is. But it's not impossible if man is involved in doing it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know a lot. You all have been educated to believe that black people are criminals, that black people are mean and bad and they'll beat you up. You've been educated, and it's been pounded into your head to hate black people. Yes. Although you might have black friends, although you might have black business colleagues, it's pounded into your head that what, black people are criminals. They'll steal your TVs. They'll beat you up. They'll rape you. There's a picture of a note on Facebook of a black man who wrote his next door neighbor a note that said, "Dear neighbor, if you're going to scream at the top of your voice that you're afraid of being raped by a big black dude, could you go inside of your house and close the door? Sincerely, a big black dude." Obviously, she was trying to voice her fears about her neighbor, and she does it ignorantly, very loudly, in the hallway outside of his door. Now, obviously, this guy is not a big black rapist or a big black murderer. Of course, he called her ignorant and all that sort of stuff, which she is. It has been ingrained in the American psyche that black people are criminals, that black people steal and murder and rape. Statistically speaking, rape is a white thing. I was very shocked to find that this guy had been convicted of rape twice. I'm not trying to further stereotypes, but black people generally don't have control issues, which is what rape is about, right? They don't have sex issues, which is another factor of rape. So normally black people aren't rapists. Normally a rapist is white. Normally, white people have a lot of control issues. It's the way that the powers that be have pounded into people's heads of how things should be. Instead of people living their life, learning their ABCs and their math and what have you, instead they're pounded into this social experiment. And when things break, when they break for white people, they go into these areas like mass murderer, raping. This is a typical scenario. When they break for black people, it doesn't quite break. Black people are already in a poor situation. All we do is slide down a scale. We go from middle class to lower class, but the lower classes already understand what being black is being black. Whether you're rich, middle class, or poor. So when stuff breaks in a black person's life, we don't go crazy. We don't do crazy things. Like I said, 75% of the black people in jail today are there for simple marijuana possession. 75%. That is a huge percent. That means the other 25% are all the other crimes, including dealing drugs. So dealing drugs, I'm going to assume, is going to factor in a very large percentage next to that 75%. So then that reduces the hard crimes that black people commit even further. So that's a small percentage compared to what the rest of the other people are in there for. White people typically don't get sentenced to jail for simple marijuana possession. I know for a fact that a lot of states will not even arrest you because they don't have the space, the time, or they don't even feel like even doing the paperwork. Why arrest you for simple marijuana possession? And now, as we can see, they're decriminalizing marijuana anyway. Now, here's what I want to know. Are they letting the black people go out of the jail that they put in jail for simple marijuana possession? I would hope so. If you want to read this case, as I said, federal judge, his name is U.S. District Judge Cormac J. Carney. Take a look. I think it's probably based on one of those two factors. Either they found something to exonerate the guy completely. Oh, you know they sentence innocent people all the time. You know, when they did agree to start doing the DNA testing and forensics, they let 25% of the entire prison population go because it proved that those people were not involved in the crime at all. But they had been sentenced to jail, found guilty and sentenced to jail, and were serving jail time. 25% of the entire prison population went free. Now, I don't think they said they had not gone through all of the cases yet. How about them apples? Meaning it could probably be 30, 40%. You know, all of the, they say every prisoner says they're innocent. There might be something to it if 25 or 30% are going free after DNA testing. They proved for a fact that the police had coerced some retarded guys to confess to the thing. Now here's the rub. What kind of horrible policeman are you to coerce somebody retarded to confess to a crime? Okay, so you coerce a guy to confess to a crime, he's sentenced, he goes to jail. The rapist or the murderer is still out at large, right? That's what that means. So the police not only didn't do their job, they not only visited evil upon some poor schmuck, they are keeping the population still in danger because this person, the real person, is still on the streets. Do you feel protected by the police? I don't. We're going to go into this brand new house, and I'm going to secure the door. I'm going to put a high wall around the perimeter of the property, have secure windows, have an alarm system. I'm going to computerize the entire house. I'm not relying on the police to protect me. The police don't do anything. They come after the fact. At no point does the police show up to thwart a robbery or a murder. Never. Has never happened. Hollywood is all about fakery. So if you believe that the police show up and catch the robber red-handed and have their shootout, no, that's Hollywood. The police have been known to not only not show up to thwart the robber, but they show up an hour later. Let's look at Detroit. They don't even show up for 2 hours at sometimes. Not full-on 911 call. This is the system that we live in. Thank God for this judge. I hope to hear more from Judge Carney in the future. Tell me what you think. Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show.